Alrighty YouTube, today I'm going to probably do a 2 to 3 part video on how to build your own RC ARF airplane. Now if you notice, 90% of the planes out there online or in your local hobby stores are ARF airplanes. That means that you need to put quite a bit of work into them to get them ready to fly. A nice alternative to this is you can buy ready to fly, but those planes are not as readily available. So if you want something kind of unique, you kind of got to build it yourself. And I'm going to go through here and try to teach you what you need to know, all the basics on how to take your plane out to the field and get it ready to fly. Alright, the whole goal of this video is to take the complete and total novice that knows nothing about RC airplanes and get you almost ready to fly. Also, since the planes we're working on is almost ready to fly, it's kind of ironic. It all comes down to 3 things: your power, hence your motor, the weight of your airplane, and the amount of lift you have. Well, it all comes down to the curvature of your wing. As you can see here, the bottom side of the wing is flat, and the top side of the wing is curved. Well, as wind or air comes across here, it creates a low pressure zone on top of the wing and a high pressure zone below the wing, which gives you all your lift. Now, going with that, we're going to come back here and look at the tail. Now, your tail section, as you can see, it has no curve, and it just has the servos flat. One is your rudder. When it goes left, it makes you go left. When it goes right, it makes you go right. And then you have your elevator. Your elevator, when it goes up, it makes you go up, and when it goes down, it makes you go down. Same with your ailerons. When the left aileron is up, it's going to push your wing down, and at that exact same time, your right aileron will go down, which will cause this wing to go up, which will give you your turn in the air. Now, if your power to weight to lift ratio is off, your plane will not fly. If your plane is too heavy and it doesn't have enough power, it's not going to fly. If you don't have enough lift, like a very small wing, if you're building it yourself, it won't fly either. So you really have to watch out when you're building your own RCs for those things. But luckily we're just talking about ARFs, and with ARFs all that should be taken care of for you. But I just want to go over these little points to kind of let you know why your plane can fly and why it will fly once you get it put together. Alright, the next thing is dihedral. As you can see, this wing has a curve in it as it goes across. That, when you're flying, is going to make your plane want to stay like this. It doesn't want to really fly upside down because of that curvature. And that's called dihedral. Now, you'll notice on certain ARF kits, you'll have flat-winged planes and then wings that have dihedral in the wings. Now, the dihedral ones are more of a beginner plane because when you get far left or far right, if you've got plenty of altitude, your plane's going to try to even itself out on its own, just by its own shape. But if you have a flat wing plane, it's going to want to fly wherever it's at, pretty much. So, dihedral is one thing to look at when you're going to buy your planes. Alright, I got to speed things up here a little bit because we have a lot of information to cover in a very short period of time to do it. Like I said, I would like this to be 2 or 3 videos, not 6 or 7 videos. So when you get your ARF kit, it's going to come with a fuselage, a wing in 2 pieces, your tail section here. You'll get servo arms. Now, one thing about servo arms is they might not come Z-bended. You might need to go out and buy yourself a Z-bender that puts this curve into the wire so that way you can hook it into your different servos. See, all these wires are Z-bended here, or they have a different set of clip on them. But they might come that way. So now, what you're going to have to do is you have to take your tail section, mount it on. Most of the ARFs all have instructions. Please, I implore you, go by your instructions step by step. Don't watch this video and think that you know it all and just decide to wing it, because you'll probably miss something and screw something up, and then you have your first plane looking kind of like this in pieces. So, that's the basic components it's going to come with. The other thing you're going to have to do you see here, you have to mount on the landing gear. Most of the landing gear mounts on similar to this, but as many ARF trainer airplanes are different, you never quite know how it's going to mount. Also, there is a front wheel that should already be kind of mounted in place, or is it? I don't remember.
On the RTF, it's mounted in place, but not on the ARF.
Yeah,
you have to mount your front wheel.
Yeah, on thank you, Lee. The ARF, you're going to have to mount this in place. Probably the plastic piece will be in there. As you can see, this one's all cobbled together because it's been crashed multiple times and fixed. I know I don't have the best airplane I'm showing you on, but all you need to know is the basic information, not a good-looking plane. Alright, next thing I want to talk about is gluing. You're going to have to glue some, well, not all ARFs. Like, for example, this Alpha 40, it didn't actually say in the instructions to glue the wings together because it had 2 metal bars in it. It just had a strip of tape that it sent along with. But I do believe gluing the wings is probably your best option because you do not want them to come apart in air. That's about the worst case scenario because then your plane ends up in a pile. But you want to get yourself either a 5-minute or a 2-hour epoxy. They got 24-hour epoxies. I wouldn't use super glue. The epoxy is really strong stuff. We were kind of joking around about building a plane out of epoxy because it's so strong. So use that. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to slide your plane apart a little bit, or your wings apart a little bit. You're going to lay some epoxy in this groove, and then you're going to slide your wings together. And once you get them slide together, you almost want to put on your tape right away, and then you can just go right across there, because that epoxy will make like a flat plane all the way across this thing, and it looks a little ugly, but I'll tell you what, as far as strength goes, it's super strong that way. And you know what, I don't give a shit if I fly an ugly plane. I care that it's not going to fall apart in air. So that's how you do that. Some tail sections you're going to have to glue on. Some tail sections will just screw on. This tail section was just a screw on. It just has 2 screws down under here that you put through on the bottom of the tail section. It holds your whole tail section off. So that's how to put your wings and tail section on your plane. Okay, so you bought your ARF kit, you got the tail mounted, you got the wings glued together. It's basically an empty shell of an airplane. Your landing gear's on, your motor mount's on, your gas tank's sitting there waiting for the motor. What do you need next? Well, the first thing I want to show you is probably the most important key of your plane, is your transmitter. Your transmitter has multiple different functions depending on how many channel airplane you buy. If it's a 4-channel, it has throttle up and down, rudder left and right, elevator up and down, and aileron left and right. Those are your basic 4 channels. Most trainer airplanes are going to have just 4 channels. If you get into like lower wing aircraft or stuff with retractable landing gear, there's adding on a servo there. If you get into like a jet that has like a throttle hold or something on it, there's another channel there. So then you're going to need like maybe like a 6-channel receiver or transmitter. Well, your transmitter, this is an old style transmitter. As you can see, it has an antenna. This is 72 megahertz. This is what a lot of guys have been flying on for lots of years. You know, if you're not in a high radio frequency area, you know, most of the time you're not going to have any problems with these. But they are the older generation of stuff. You can have receiver or transmitter failure and stuff like that with these that you're probably not going to have with the new Spectrum technology that they brought out. The Spectrum technology is the exact same as this. They are the exact same thing. But this is more like a cell phone signal. This is going to send signal to your receiver box back and forth, and it's a lot more unbreakable because the receiver box itself has basically 2 receiver boxes in it. So if the one fails, the other one picks up immediately, and then you don't have your plane crash and burn because you had radio loss. Alright, this concludes part 1 of the video. We're going to pick back up with part 2 and teach you more that you need to know. Oh, it's going to be funny. Oh, it's going to be funny.